What's good, y'all? It's your good sis Erica Vane back again with a new series alert. We is going back to the basics for real and talking about power, the original power. We already been talking about the books, Power Book 2, Power Book 3, Power Book 4, but we got to talk about the original. Let's get into episode 1, season 1. It's the beautiful New York City skyline for me. It's the accurate capture of the city, the vibe, the opulence, the luxury, the decadence for me. The opening images of Power really help set the tone for the world that we were walking into, and we meet James St. Patrick immediately with close-ups of a man getting dressed, putting on this really, really expensive watch, putting on his Louboutins, getting into a car with another healed woman. And again, in the first 2 minutes, you really just get the vibes of what we're doing. When the woman and then, of course, James St. Patrick steps out of the car, we meet Tasha for the first time, and they're right outside of Truth, which is this man's nightclub. We learn very quickly on because the boss is here, and we have a little tender moment of husband and wife, coming into the opening of their latest business venture, and we mad hopeful. Like, what? Look at Omari. Look at Naturi. They look amazing. The chemistry is real. The dress is fitting beautifully. The tux is just hanging. But that does not last long. This is really a good pilot. Shout out to Courtney Kemp and 50. They did that. Very early on, we see that this world of glitz, glam, and luxury is not all it's cracked up to be, because while James is navigating the club, attending to the patrons, basking in his success, he gets pulled away by his partner, Tommy Egan, who is in the basement holding a girl and a guy captive at gunpoint, because their drug business that's actually funding this whole endeavor just got hit tonight, and they need to figure out who the leak is, what happened, and how to make sure it doesn't happen again. And we need to call Ghost down here to handle it. Oh, Ghost. James St. Patrick, whose street name is Ghost, because he is the leader of this whole organization. So yes, this well-to-do, wealthy black man is way more than what meets the eye. In the first 10 minutes of this episode, we get to see really clearly where everything is. James is married, however, his wife is on a different time than what he is on and doesn't necessarily understand what is actually going on for him in his mind. He has a partner in a criminal business who is the complete and utter opposite of him, aside from him being a very pale white man with the anger issues and a very, very light trigger finger. And we also learn that while James, or Ghost, is a gangster and a business person, he also seems to have a little bit of logic and a lot of intellect, and that he speaks 2 languages and he thinks things thoroughly through as he communicates the problems of Tommy actually bringing these people to this club on this night. But then he also ain't never scared, because he's also going to still handle the situation now that it has been brought to his attention. Within the first 16 minutes of this series, we know exactly who James St. Patrick is, or at least what we need to know to move forward in the story. Aside from the initial setup, we have seen Tasha, his wife, be inappropriately sexual in the backseat of their car when she's being taken home after she's frustrated that he decides to stay back and not go home with her, implicating that they don't necessarily have as seamless and as picture perfect of a marriage as that we would think that they have when we first see them. When they hop out the car and head into the club, we get the reflection of James with Tommy. After the club shuts down, they're talking about the night, they're talking about their problems that they're having within their drug business, and then we understand that while they are both very wealthy, they are also not the top of the food chain, because they speak about their connect and what this issue will be in reference to them getting hit and having to still put up the money for this shipment, for the drugs that have been stolen, regardless of what's going on, because they have a crazy connect that will kill them if they come up short or late or anything comes up missing. And then one thing that I never miss now that when I rewatch it is around the 16 and a half minute mark, James returns back home And I watched an interview that the creator Courtney Kemp did, and she talks about how the mirror is placed in the hallway as he walked into the home, and it's like a very abstract mirror with these various mirror segments that was done to visually communicate how many different ghosts there are, or the fact that he has to navigate different versions of himself or present different versions of himself to be able to navigate the world that he's created. And it was almost foreshadowing for the additional conflict that he's going to come into as we see the series or this episode progress, and then ultimately the series progress. And every time that I watch it and I see that moment, I'm just like, yo, it's so spot on, it's so dope, it's so nuanced, and definitely very, very creative. And in that same interview, Courtney mentioned how they have strategically placed mirrors throughout this series, because even him getting undressed in front of the mirror and on the outside looking in, everything looks great until he unbuttons his shirt, and then he sees on his wife beater there is the blood from, him having to kill the dude who robbed them. And he's confronted with, again, the image of who he has been or who he truly is versus the image that he's presented to the world as this highly successful, legitimate club owner. Now, it's really not clear how unhappy James is initially within his marriage, because they have their moments. Like, they have the next morning moment where they have sex, but he's also in a space of reflecting back on what he did the night before, because that is seemingly haunting him. And it doesn't seem like he's not attracted to her, but he's also just preoccupied with all that he has going on. It's not until Angela presents herself that you actually get a full understanding of where this man might be. Well, actually, it's not until Angela presents herself and James and Tasha has a conversation where she has a very closed-minded view of what she had expected for his life to amount to, and he has a much broader view and has wanted to be more, but she didn't see that. I think it was in that moment that she said, I thought you were going to be the biggest drug dealer in New York City, and that was it. That's all she had to say. It was in that moment that she really started to lose him. And then the fact that Angela appears a little bit later does not help things, not one bit. Now, I don't want to jump the gun with introducing or talking about Angela, because before we even get there, we do get the moments of seeing him with his family and really getting grounded in the world and life of James St. Patrick. So we meet his 3 kids, we meet his mother-in-law, and we meet his nephew, son-like figure, Sean. We get to see a little bit of character beats for him and his potential interest in Tasha. Now, following the family scene, Ghost and Tommy head over to meet with their connect, Lobos, who is one crazy bruh. Lobos, he was a very interesting villain, and I love that they chose him for the big bad of the series, just because he wasn't your typical cartel leader. He is, I believe, a very eclectic, weird, super violent, bisexual villain. So many layers, so many nuances to Lobos. He's definitely a villain that we don't typically see in drug crime dramas. After Tommy and Ghost leave the Lobos meetup, they gotta go and start getting things in order. They gotta understand what actually happened, get to the bottom of it. So they break out and they go chat with their primeras. Now, Ruiz is one of the primeras that is of importance, but the other ones kind of fall off. That's just a breakout moment for me, having seen the entire series, and I know this. And then from there, we are back to seeing Tommy and Ghost kind of navigate the drug life and regular home life. So the next scene that we see, we're back at the James St. Patrick household for dinner, where Tommy is eating amongst the family. So we get to see that he's not only a business partner, but he's a part of the family. And then Tommy and Ghost have a conversation in his office about what's going on and what are they going to do about it. And then all of this continues to just really lay the foundation for for what we're going to see with this series, because we get moments of Tasha peeking outside the door trying to listen in. So we know that she's aware of what he does in the drug business, but she is not privy to everything. And this is the lead up to the major point that I mentioned early on about James asking, what did you think when you met me? Who did you think I was going to be? And she says the biggest damn drug dealer in New York City. And he kind of gets deflated in this moment, and he acts out by way of commenting on her dress, saying that she doesn't look like she owns the club. She looks like she's trying to get in for free, and she needs to do something about that. This is where I really feel like not the nail was in the coffin, but we definitely opened up the coffin for their relationship, because when we meet James, he is opening this nightclub as a new way to step into in a legitimate life, and we don't know all of this at the very start of the episode, but you can very much so see that this guy is grappling with what he does versus what he wants to do. And that becomes ever present once we actually see Angela walk into the club, and he almost loses it to make it through the crowd just to see her, because it's almost like he's seeing a ghost. And the smile that you can see on his face, the joy, the excitement, the nostalgia, all of that is just so clear. So clear so that Tasha sees him from across the club, and she is immediately jealous, annoyed, pissed off, frustrated, and decides to leave. And this is also the moment where she is actually sexually inappropriate. So this is the moment where we actually get to see her doing what she does in this backseat. And I'm like, oh, okay, this was time Tasha St. Patrick is on. Sis is not to be slept on. That's exactly what this moment told me. What Tommy and Ghost decided with their primeras was to take the assistance of Ruiz, who's going to help them actually arm up, help them, put guns into all of the hands of their people who are moving their products so that they can be able to protect themselves. Now that we have seen Angela in the club, we are immediately thrust into what she does, and dun 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 dun, sis is a prosecutor for the feds. The feds, y'all. The feds. Yes. Ghost is a major drug dealer. James St. Patrick is Ghost, and he is running through the club after the feds, bro. Hence the conflict of the series. Ciao. I would say we can't make this up, but 50 and Courtney did, so hey, here we are. The rest of the episode really just rolls out the specific character conflicts that we're going to see. So we get the moment with Tasha and her best friend, Keisha, and Keisha's like, girl, you got the life, you're living it. And we get to see like, nah, I really don't. And this is just a callback to how unhappy and how disconnected Tasha feels within her relationship. We get to see, James make lunch plans with Angela. Again, this little boyhood, childish smile is back. The nostalgia, the missing, all of that. You can see how much this girl actually meant to him very, very early on. His entire mood, mannerisms, and all of that changes when he sees her. We get to see this seemingly undercover type of gang member following Tommy, then peeking in and seeing Lobos visit Ruiz, who ultimately at the end we come to find out he's actually undercover fed and he works with Angela in that department. We get to see James actually meet with Angela, but before even we do that, we get to see him make a call and have Tasha take the wife beater that he had blood on and he put in the safe early on in the episode. She takes that, handles it, incinerates it, so we get rid of any evidence in that way. So we get to see that they are really partners in crime. Even though they are both unhappy within their relationship, they are definitely partners and working together by way of this business and the family that they built. Then going to James, and you can see he has lunch with Angela. I went back and watched a few times because I was trying to remember, like, yo, did he ever mention that he was married when they first met? No, he didn't. Deceptive bastard. He did not do that at all. And when you looking at his hand, his wedding ring isn't on. So not only those visual things are happening, but you can see the tension in their conversation because they go down memory lane, and she talks about how when she did leave and how she didn't reach out or anything like that because she would have came back, she would have dropped everything for him. And he's like, I wouldn't have asked you to, but you can tell that he very much so misses her. He's like, yo, you were just gone out of nowhere. And that's the huge conflict for their characters and a really, really, really big theme that really carries the show for quite a bit. So we get all of these things established very, very early on in the series in this pilot episode. We get to see how Tommy is actually involved with the club business, not just the drug business, because he goes and gets the deposits, and there's a little bit of tension there between the club manager and him, because the club manager is like, yo, I'm the one who does the deposits, but Tommy got to be the one to do deposit, because guess what? They're using this club to launder the money from the drug organization. When we arrive at the very end of this episode, we get full clarity in reference to Angela, what she does and she is. And not only is she a prosecutor for the Fed, she's an AUSA, she's also tasked with bringing down Ghost's Connect. And their plan to bring down the Connect is to find a New York distributor, which is who? Ghost. Come on, this is how you do a pilot, bro. This is how you do a pilot. That is the Power Season 1, Episode 1 breakdown, y'all. I think we definitely need to be rewatching this together. Drop down in the comment section and let me know if you want to rewatch Power together. Power is such a phenomenal, great, super dope series. To think that this one idea with these main characters is what has spawned a world of now 4 different spin-offs, 2 currently out in production, 2 still on the way. It's just amazing. It's amazing to see. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It's your girl Erica Vane coming to you with these Power throwback, rewatch, and breakdowns. I will have the full playlist linked on the screen for you. So this is episode 1. If you're watching it a few weeks after I actually drop it, then this playlist will be populated, because we will be bringing you new episodes multiple times a week. If you are interested in any of the other Power content that we're creating, I have my Power Book 3 playlist on screen for you right now, as well as my Power Book 2 playlist on screen for you right now. Get into it, hit the subscribe button, be sure to like, let me know what you thought in the comment section down below, and go ahead and watch another video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.